check, check, check. Yeah. In case you didn't recognize that tune, that's Sibelius's Piano Concerto for Four Hands. Thank you very much. That's their rendition of that. Thank you very much. Now, I was gonna say something, but before I do, I'm gonna call up another guy so you can take off these charts right now and throw them out, because I'm gonna call up Jimmy Mason. Jimmy, come on up here. Yeah. If you don't know who he is, you ain't been here long enough. Jimmy, come on up here. Special guest star. Okay. Yes, and it's true, I've known Larry for 40 years. But you know what? Jimmy's known him that long, too.
Holy shit. So I guess I'm a special guest speaker tonight in that I wasn't invited. I think that makes me the person that's here to speak to all the people that have tangled with Larry over the years. And I mean, as some of you know, there's been a couple of us. The pool is not small. But it should be clear to everyone that all of us that tangled with Larry, we tangled with Larry because we love Larry. Larry always had the best ideas, fucker. Okay? Like if you ever wanted to have like a full existential conflict, confrontation, experience with another human entity, it was Larry. I mean, it was like a weather front, okay? And so we did it again and again, and we did it because Larry had the best ideas that most of us have ever heard. You know, even if we'd actually read the book, some of us actually read Frasier, The Golden Ball. I mean, he like kind of read the introduction. Don't tell anyone. But you know, he'd take these things and do incredibly creative things with them, and he'd combine them across, I mean, you could have a conversation across history, across culture, across disciplines, across bullshit, across creativity. Like, he would follow you anywhere and try to kick your ass, though we thought we were kicking his ass. It was unclear. But he would play that game with you, and that's why we would engage him in ways that were really absolutely unique. We came to understand, I mean, why we gave Larry such a hard time is it became clear Larry was the caretaker of the best ideas that any of us had ever encountered in our life. He was the caretaker of the best experiences that followed from those ideas that any of us have encountered in our life. He had a higher responsibility to these things that we thought we were maybe holding him to. And so it was interesting to watch the progression of the project, because you know this was not a kind of open, yeah, whatever sort of thing. It was the best thing any of us have ever seen. And by the end of it, or the current period of it, I think the summary that Larry would really be interested in this point, even though he never said this, like post the 10 principles, post all of the structure that we've created around orchestrating wonder and creativity on the desert, the core thing that Larry was pursuing here was a direct, unmediated experience with people, with community, with creativity. Those were the fundamental ideas in this. And of course, we always argued over, is the driving idea here, is this collaborative creative work? That's the foundation. Is this a vague community affirming effort? Is this replaying the Western myth over a kind of secular cult that is trying to give meaning to white people? You know, we played with a variety of things here, okay? And Larry, the fucker, he would never commit. He would affirm all these things, bastard, okay? But the direct experience and the immediacy idea, you know, there's people there's traditions that have explored this before, and really the strongest one is the history of Buddhist thought, which orchestrated a whole variety of ideas, spent 2 millennia, a variety of millennia, exploring the displeasures of human psychology, and came to the conclusion that the origin of human suffering is attachment to dogma. It's an attachment to ideas. It's attachment to distinctions. It's attachment to things that are between you and the experience of the world and other people. Okay? And the Buddhists summarize this as emptiness. So that we really, the pursuit of the orientation of the world that we want to have is a direct experience without all of these intermediating structures, which they called the world. We should have a fundamental orientation of emptiness. So the problem with that over Buddhist history is all of those ideas of emptiness got calcified and built up into incredibly strong dogma and proactive instructions for what you want to do. And there was a very strong later affirmation of, really, emptiness is empty. These ideas of emptiness are directing, they're helpful guides, but they have no fundamental truth. And so the idea I want to leave you with is the idea of the 10 principles, which there's a couple of us that had some issues with the 10 principles, not because we thought they were wrong. They're right in their fundamentals. They were really well crafted and did a lot of good work, but they calcified the thing into something that you could believe in, fucker. Okay? So I want to leave you with the idea that the 10 principles are something that in the larger history of seeking, we should think about things that are directing. They aren't ends. They're orientations that themselves are empty. Okay? And the Buddhists ultimately summarize this in the later stages of Buddhism as that to honor the Buddha, you ultimately kill the Buddha. So, Larry, I've never had more fun debating consequential orientations with a human in my life. So to honor Larry, my summary is kill the Buddha. Kill the Buddha. Kill the Buddha.
Thank you, James. Thank you.